It's possible to get hyperlapses from the Mini 2, and I'm going to talk about that in this video. Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. My name is Farhan. Now if you're wondering why I'm out here in the living room, I'm on the couch and making this video is because I'm just so tired to set up the lights and the green screen, because I just received my vaccination, my second vaccination dose yesterday, and I'm feeling the after effects, and I just feel feverish and really tired, weak I'd say. Have you guys received your vaccinations yet? Let me know down in the comments below. The Mini 2 does not have automated features to create hyperlapses like the Air 2s, Air 2 or Mavic 2 Pro and other drones, but that doesn't mean it's not possible to achieve something similar with the Mini 2. Focus on the word similar. Why similar? Because it's not going to be as good of a movement as with the Air 2 or Air 2s, for example, because they have automated flight modes to create such hyperlapses. With the Mini 2, you're going to have to do these movements yourself, which is a lot more harder. Well, not really hard, but if you practice, you'll really do well. So I'm going to talk about that. Now, if you're wondering why you should shoot hyperlapses, is because it really adds to the depth of your videos. It just adds so much depth and it makes it look more interesting. Now, something to keep in mind is the Mini 2 is a very light drone, obviously, so you're gonna have to fly to create a hyperlapse on a day where it's not so windy, obviously, because it's gonna give you a lot of work to do in post stabilization, and it can be really hard. So, and maybe try avoiding to fly really high to get hyperlapses, because the higher you go, the faster the winds are. So maybe try and keep it 200 feet or below if possible. So there's two ways you can create a hyperlapse. One is just by recording a video and speeding it up in post, or you could shoot timed or interval photos and put them together for hyperlapse. I recommend photos because it gives you more resolution to work with. You're taking a photo every 2 seconds, so that just gives you way more resolution as compared to video. Even though the Mini 2 has the capability of shooting raw photos, which is so much more better compared to JPEG, because it gives you so much more flexibility to edit in post. Unfortunately, the minimum interval for shooting raw photos is 5 seconds. However, with the JPEG, it's 2 seconds. Strange, I know, but I prefer 2 seconds, so I chose the JPEG option. Now, something I recommend you do is use ND filters. Use a dark ND filter to get your shutter speed down to 1/4 or 1/5 of a second. This is recommended for hyperlapses, and it gives you that natural motion blur in your hyperlapses, so it looks even better. So use ND filters, and if you're interested in ND filters, I have linked the ones I use down in the description below. Now, to create a hyperlapse, we need slow, gradual movements. So set the drone to semi-smooth mode to slow down its movements. My settings for shooting photos is 4:3 as compared to 16:9. That's because 4:3 gives me the entire resolution as compared to 16:9, which is cropped. So you can crop it in post, but shoot 4:3 to give you the entire resolution. I set my timer to 2 seconds and I'm ready. Let's go shoot a hyperlapse. I made another video to show how I control the Mini 2 for those slow, closer, precise shots, and that'll help you in controlling the movements of the Mini 2 for the hyperlapse. So check that out. The link's down in the description below. So for this hyperlapse, I try to keep my fingers as steady as possible. Now, to try this out, I recommend simpler moves such as ascending, descending, moving forward or backward. This way you don't have to control the drone as much, but just move in one single direction. So I move as slow as I can. 0.2 miles per hour is perfect. You can also point the camera down for a top-down view and ascend or descend to create a really good hyperlapse. Now that we're done shooting from the drone, let's take it to Lightroom, which is my choice of editing photos. You can do it with Luminar 4 or any other editing software. Now, I edit the photos to give them a natural look, because when I add them to my video footage, I want the colors to match. So I do post color in my video editing software. So try and keep the editing in the photo software as natural as possible. So I'm here in Lightroom right now, and I've got all the images from the first hyperlapse that I'd taken. So I've got about 146 pictures over here to edit. So I'm just trying to do something really natural, nothing really out of the ordinary, not really some deep heavy editing, just some basics here and there. But we also have to keep in mind that these are JPEG images and not raw, so not as much flexibility over here to edit them. But as you can see in this picture right here, you see the motion blur in the cars. This is why I've been expressing or urging you guys to use dark ND filters when filming hyperlapses, or even when filming videos, so you get this natural looking motion blur in your videos, in your photos even, or hyperlapses like this. So a few things I'm going to change it is okay, I'm going to leave the white balance as shot. I'm going to increase the tint a little bit, just about there. And I'm gonna bring down the exposure just a little bit. Gonna bring down the highlights as well. It's usually what I almost always bring down, bring the highlights down, bring the shadows up, give it that contrasty look. I think somewhere here should be fine. Now, this is also totally up to you. You don't have to edit the way I'm editing. Everyone has your own style. It's what you want. It's the look that you want in your photos. So it's totally up to you. So this is my way of doing it. So everyone has your own style. I'm gonna bring the texture down. Let's bring it down here. Get some vibrance. No, that's a little too much. Maybe make it 10. Yeah, that's okay. In terms of luminance, I am gonna bring the oranges down a little bit and the yellows. I want the green to pop more, so I'm gonna increase this one over here. Maybe the aqua too, maybe just a little bit. And saturation, I want the greens to pop up more like I mentioned, so I'm gonna increase the saturation for green, a little bit for aqua as well. I think 7 should be fine. And I am gonna change the hues a little bit here. I want the yellows to move slightly toward the orange, and I want the greens to pop a little more, so I'm going to move it a little more to the aqua side. You see, if you slide it here, you have that more yellowish look, but I want it a little more green, so I'm going to push it more to the right. I think this is nice. Well, this is what I like. It's not supposed to be perfect, but I'm going to bring down this in the mid-tones a little bit. Slightly increase this in the shadows, and I think that's about it. In terms of vignetting, I don't think I want to really add, because it's going to hyperlapse. So I usually add like quite a bit of vignette in my photos that I upload to Instagram. I just like that dark moody look it gives, but I'll add a slight one here. Maybe, yeah, -7 looks good. Yeah, that is good. Now the last thing we want to do is crop it. So I'm gonna, since this is 4:3, I'm gonna bring it down to 16:9, because when I upload it in Final Cut Pro, or when you upload it to your choice of editing software, you're gonna have to crop it for 16:9 to get that full screen look. Otherwise it's not going to take up all the screen space you have in the 16:9 Pro. So I'm just going to set it somewhere here, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to hit done, and I'm going to select all the images here and then hit sync. And I'm also gonna check the crop tool because I wanted to crop it for all the photos in about the same place. So the settings are done, and then I'm gonna export these into a separate folder. So I'm gonna put in subfolder, and I'm gonna name this Mini 2 Hyperlapse 1. And if you scroll down, you want to make sure that you're on this. You have it to resolution of 100. Your quality over here is 100, and your image format is JPEG, obviously. But you also want to click sharpen 4 and screen and choose high. So now they're all good. Hit export, and Lightroom will export all those edited pictures. So we're here now in Final Cut Pro, which is what I use for editing my videos. You can be using Filmora 9 or any other editing software. I think it's pretty much the same. So I've imported all the edited images over here. As you can see, it is yeah, it kind of looks like a hyperlapse, but a little too shaky. But obviously we know we've got to stabilize that, like I mentioned before, because the Mini 2 is pretty light and gets knocked around by the wind here and there. So yeah, we gotta really stabilize this hyperlapse. So first thing what I'm gonna do is have all the images over here selected, and then I'm gonna change the duration, meaning I'm gonna change the time for each one of these. So I'm just gonna hit 1 and enter. Then I'm just gonna put this into a compound clip, meaning it's one whole clip right now. So I'm just gonna play it back real quick so we get to see like a bit of a glimpse of what it is. And well, that's really shaky, obviously. So like I mentioned, we have to stabilize it. So I'm gonna stabilize it in post over here and do the best I can. Now it's really not that difficult to create hyperlapses, or like I mentioned before, something close to it, because the Mini 2 unfortunately does not have the automated features to create a hyperlapse itself. Now I mentioned this before, that it's not about what you have, but what you do with what you have that really matters. And Mini 2 is all you have. This is what you're gonna have to do to create hyperlapses. And it is possible. Just to recap a few things: shoot your hyperlapses on a day it's not really windy, use ND filters, use slow gradual movements. Now again, if you're interested in ND filters, you can find the links to the one I use in the description below. Now, if you enjoyed this video and if it was helpful to you, do hit that like button, and also subscribe for more weekly videos such as this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care.